Hello, it's Benedictine on Chessable Adult Chess Improver, and welcome to this Visualise 1 walkthrough video. So like I've done with the previous videos, I just thought I'd give you a bit of an overview of the course and show you a couple of examples of what to expect. And before I get onto that, I'd just like to explain how I come about creating this course and you know what was my motivations behind it. So several years before I studied on Chessable, I used to do Visualise training from a book. And what I found is during some positions in some games, I was getting really bogged down in like the harder calculation positions. And what I found is I come to realise that it was my visualisation that was probably holding me back a little bit. I mean, not often, and deep calculations in games is probably over exaggerated. I think in many respects it's the simple patterns and looking out for opponents' threats and things like that that's more important. But one or two occasions where I found that I was when I were in these positions where the calculations were more difficult, I found that I was kind of going over the calculations in my head and then going over them again and going over them again, you know, not really trusting my skills. And I come to the conclusion that it was a lack of confidence in my visualization. So what I did was I thought, right, I'm going to train on this a little bit in isolation, because when you look around at other sports, like you look at tennis, you look at snooker or golf, whatever, then you see people actually break down the skills and train something as a piece of deliberate practice. So, for example, I used to play tennis a little bit and at a very poor level. But one day I was watching somebody just practicing the serve over and over again, like for half an hour, while I was playing this poor game. So I'm thinking, like, why don't we do this? Why don't we break down these skills a little bit more in chess? I mean, we do tactics, obviously, and openings and endgames, but when you're studying tactics, you're doing other things at the same time. So your first thing you're doing is you are recognizing patterns, which is predominantly the most important thing that you're doing, but you're also trying to calculate variations. You're also then trying to visualize them. You're also then trying to evaluate the positions at the end. I mean, unless it's a checkmate, right? You don't need to evaluate that. You just win, and then you go to the bar and get a beer, yeah. But in all the other cases, you're trying to do too many things. And I thought, this is what I was trying to do in my games. I'm trying to do everything, and I'm not isolating the skills. So what I used to do to combat this before Chessable, before I was on Chessable, or I think before it existed, or certainly in its current form, what I used to do is get a chess book, right, and I'd turn to I use annotated games for it, probably work best, and I'd find a middle game position and I'd go and set up a board somewhere quiet, out of the way. There's no TV and no distractions, and I would simply set up this, make sure obviously I set up the board correctly, and then I would just follow the moves without thinking about the board. So I'm not looking for the best move. I'm not looking for tactics or positional ideas. All I'm simply doing is, can I push my visualization? So what I was doing is isolating that skill, or attempting to do that. I'm following the moves. 3 moves, fix the position. Another move or 2, fix the position again, and see how far I could just push the visualization. And it was difficult at first, because when you look at a chessboard, you naturally want to sort of find the tactics. You naturally want to look at the best moves and look at the threats and sort of analyze the position. But what I actually forced myself to do is say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just stretching this visualization, or attempting to. And it did work out pretty well, and I did it for quite a few months, I suppose, once or twice a week. But then the inevitable thing happens is you sort of like get into other things, and you sort of, well, I did anyway, I lost sort of track of doing that sort of exercise. So it's a shame, really, because I felt it had good impact on my game. But another thing was, when I was setting up these positions to the board, it was a bit cumbersome, a bit time consuming, and then you turn over the page and it says White resigned, and it's well to set up another position. So this is why I came to do Visualise 1. And when I mean, some people on the forums and so on, and some of my friends suggested doing this course, I thought, oh yes, because I've done that before, and I know it works, I know it's good. But I didn't know how it would work with Chessable, whether it was possible, but it was possible in the end to sort of manipulate the system and then just present you with a position and then a bunch of moves. And I thought, if I could do that, you wouldn't really need anything at the end of the line. You wouldn't need a tactic, you wouldn't need anything. You're just following a bunch of moves. But then a friend of mine says, well, I think you need to actually do something at the end of the line. You can't just have, here is a position, here are 10 moves, because people will just think, well, this is crazy. So, oh gosh, 5 minutes already. I'll try and speed up, sorry. So what I did was to say, okay, yeah, I'll find an easy game with easy tactics, and then the easy tactics at the end of the line could be something that wasn't too complicated, but as long as people sort of followed this idea of all I am actually trying to do is visualize these moves, and I'm breaking and isolating that skill. And at first, my Visualise courses wasn't going to really get published at all, because some people didn't understand them at first and said, well, this is crazy. Like you said to me, well, people can just cheat, they can just follow the moves and cheat. And I said, no, they're not going to do that, because you're isolating the skill, blah, blah, blah. He says, write me an introduction, come back. And then to be fair, once he read the introduction, he sort of got the course and says, yeah, this is great, and do some more. So anyway, without further ado, I'll give you an example of what to expect. So you do get 100 positions in each course, which if you do, I recommend a couple a week, 5 a week's enough, so there should be plenty to go ahead in each course to last you months. And then hopefully you've forgot the positions, you can just keep repeating the course, so you should be holding you in good stead. So you get Visualise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 moves ahead. But what you can do, if you don't need to go this far, right? If 2 and 3 moves ahead, if you're a beginner sort of player, then you can use all of them as 2 or 3 moves ahead. You just move them ahead 2 or 3 moves. So you can always have the whole course could be 2 moves ahead if you wanted it to be, or 3 moves ahead, apart from these chapters. So let me give you an example. So start with a basic, more basic position. What did it? I think it was 3 I was looking at. Let's have a look at this one. This is one that I wasn't going to show, but we'll show this anyway, it doesn't matter. So the timer is disabled as default in all these courses, because the object is not to do this quickly, but just slow down, really sort of stretch that visualization muscle, and just to concentrate and take your time and follow the moves slowly. So you get a position like this, and it says visualize the moves. Bishop takes f2 check, king takes f2, then find the best continuation. So if you want to do this exercise, pause it. I've not looked at the position myself. Right, let's just see what it says. Right, so bishop takes f2 check, king takes, and find the best move. Yeah, is going to be this move. Yeah, so not too complicated, that one, but I tend to start them off easy. Let's have another look at another position. Let's go into the next one. I should have wrote these down. Alright, we'll go to visualize 2 moves ahead. And it must have been this one because it's not on pause. Alright, so have a look at this one. Oh yeah, this is a bit more meatier. So again, you can pause the position. So it's visualize the moves. Queen takes e8, rook f2, knight e5, rook c2, then find the best continuation. So again, if you want to pause it, if you want to follow the exercise. Right, okay, so what you've done, you go through this position, you visualize it, the moves, and then you can also look for any other little moves after the actual moves. Don't pay particular attention to the actual moves given in the text. This is another thing that people used to do at the early days, messaged me about quite a lot, and I said, well, don't worry about these moves, right? Because you're only interested in just following the visualization, right? So you can even make illegal moves. Something else I was considering doing when my friend says, no, you can't do that, that's insane. But I think the object is just to follow the visualization, right? So like this knight, queen takes first. Let's just do this first. So this knight, for example, if I wanted it to, I could have made it go there, just because you're following moves. But then that it was a little bit crazy. So yeah. So anyway, so queen takes e8, rook f2, knight e5, rook c2, and the best move was just simply picking up the knight. But you also should have considered queen coming into h6 with the checkmate on here, right? But there's this nice move that you can play, and you can go queen, checking an f1, and taking the pawn. So the position works, and you pick up a piece. All right, so that's the course essentially. You can, if you want to sample this course, there is a free version that I produced, which is somewhere around there it is. 25 visualize exercises. So this covers, I think I've put 5 positions from each of the Visualise courses. I'll click on it just to give you a quick look. So there's some from Visualise 1, some from Visualise 5, 4, 3 and 2. Oh yeah, and on the order as well. I get a lot of messages saying like, why is Visualise 1 the easiest and Visualise 2 is the hardest, and Visualise 5, 4 and 3 are somewhere in the middle? Well, the simple answer is, apart from the fact that I probably didn't plan ahead as much as I should, is that when I produced Visualise 1, I got several messages from stronger players over sort of 1800, 1900, 2000 plus, and they said, really like this concept, but can you do a stronger course? So I said, yeah, no problem, I'll do a stronger course, which is Visualise 2, which also features defensive positions. And then after that one, someone else says, can you do more of the Visualise 1? So I said, yeah, I can do that. So I did Visualise 3, which is similar to Visualise 1. You also get 100 kind of opening positions as well on that one. And then Visualise 4 and 5 is different. I'll do different courses on each of one of these, well, if people want me to, on each of these courses, just to explain a little further. But anyway, you can get this one if you want. It's available for free download. With 25 visualization exercises, it'll last you a long time anyway. So you can get that and have a good sort of play around with it and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. All right, thank you very much.